and I thought it was great. I didn't have the reaction most people had. I didn't get paranoid. I didn't feel nervous. I just knew that I wanted to try it, and I really liked it, and it was game over. My name is Sasha, and I've been sober for 3 years and 8 months, and my drugs of choice were heroin and meth. I think what I enjoyed the most is my head finally stopped. I finally felt as comfortable as I had always wanted to feel, and I didn't like feeling incapable of doing things, so when I mixed them both, that was like the perfect combination for me to feel like I could do anything that I wanted. My childhood was a little different. It was just me and my mom from the time I was like 3 or 4 years old on, and we moved around a lot. My mom did the absolute best she could to give me like the life that she always wanted to have when she was younger and that she didn't get to, but it was a lot of pressure, and I had to grow up really quickly to be, there for her emotionally, because it was just her and I think, well, the first drug I tried was weed. I was 12 years old, living in Canada, and I was really, really depressed at the time. I had like a lot of suicidal ideation at a young age. And we were partying in the forest somewhere and smoked weed out of a can, and I thought it was so cool and so different, and it felt like a different way to connect with people that I hadn't experienced before. And I just remember being a little annoyed that I didn't feel it as strongly as I thought I would. But I just remember laughing and not caring about what was happening, and that was always the goal. It started with weed and alcohol when I was 12, and then we moved back to California, and I spent a year being homeschooled for my freshman year of high school, and then in 10th grade I went to a massive high school with like over 1,000 kids in my graduating class. And the people that I ended up becoming friends with were the party people. It was like the massive group of people that were always, drinking or smoking weed and throwing big parties. And through those people that I met, and I think I was, maybe 14, 15 at the time, I met another group of people, except all of these people were out of high school and they were not in college, or maybe had done some college, and they were all over 21, and I thought that was so cool, and they were all in bands, and I thought that was so different and fun, and they all did a whole bunch of drugs that I had never tried before. Every time I would hang out with them, they were the garbage disposals. They would always have a different drug every weekend, and every single time I never said no, and I always wanted to try it. So I went through all of like the hallucinogens, started using benzos, started doing coke every weekend, and it just kind of kept escalating from there. Did a lot of ecstasy and acid. And I just never said no whenever something was around. So eventually heroin got brought around, and that was the first one I tried out of the two. And I remember everyone was so annoyed with me that I wanted to try it because they thought I was too young to use heroin. But of course, it didn't take too long for me to convince anyone to let me try it. And I was able to keep it to just the weekends, even with heroin, for a surprisingly long period of time, before it just took one time where I was like, you know what, I feel great. I'm gonna start using tomorrow morning and just use all day. And then I just never stopped. And it wasn't too long after that. I think I was 17 the first time I tried meth. And I thought it was great. I didn't have the reaction most people had. I didn't get paranoid. I didn't feel nervous. I just knew that I wanted to try it, and I really liked it, and it was game over. I had been arrested and was in jail and physically forced to be sober that I finally realized that I needed to get sober. Before that, I did not even see it as an option. But when I was finally forced to, and they had AA meetings in jail, I started getting all these little seeds planted of, this is what I need to do if I want anything to change. I had that moment of clarity where I realized like how much destruction and chaos had been in my life, and I was choosing for there to not be a solution because I didn't want to get sober. And that was like the first time I even had like an inkling inside that I wanted to be sober, because I didn't know that it would fix anything that was going on. I went to a detox and residential program here in Orange County. It was a beautiful facility. The thing that I remember the most, that was the most powerful for me, was my therapist. Really what helped me get sober was coming to my therapist with the attitude of like, here is all of my stuff. Here is everything I never wanted to tell anyone, and I need you to help me fix it. I remember my first session with her, I literally laid out my trauma one by one and was like, here you go. I don't know what to do with this, and I'm gonna die if I keep using. And she was just like, okay, awesome. We need that type of willingness and honesty, and we're gonna make something work. I needed a lot of trauma work. I needed a lot of therapy, and I needed a lot of direction. I needed to be busy, and I needed a lot of direction, and that's what worked for me. They got us up in the morning, and we went to a morning meeting, did group all day, did another meeting, had to exercise, had to do chores around the house. You know, I needed structure, and I needed accountability, because I wasn't used to either of those. I know this is a weird question. What am I most proud of now? I mean, I'm like continually humbled by what my life looks like every single day. The fact that I am a functioning person in society blows my mind. The fact that I get to help people and participate in everyone else's recovery as part of what I do for work. I get to talk to people when they're in their darkest point and they need help. Like, that's my passion, and the fact that I get to do that for my job still blows my mind. And I mean, I think the thing that I'm the most proud of, if I would have to say that, is that I'm not so focused on myself today. I am not drowning in my own selfishness of what's going to make me feel better and what do I want. I am driven and motivated by being of service to other people, and I have never felt so much freedom as I do when I'm doing that. The advice that I would offer someone who is still struggling is that bottom is as soon as we stop digging, right? We're the type of people that, at least for me, homelessness didn't matter. Being close to death didn't matter. I always thought there might be something that would happen one day that would finally make me want to stop enough, but really it was just as soon as I stopped digging, that's when my bottom was. I needed help, and I think the biggest message that I would want to say is that like there is a solution and it works, because I didn't think there was one. I thought I was irreparably damaged, and that could not have been further from the case. There were so many people that have helped me and continue to help me on a daily basis become, the person that I want to be and be able to help other people. And so the help is available, and people care, and people have been through it, and they've been exactly where you are. We're different, but not that different at all. We are very much the same, and there's a solution for all of us.